But let's cross over to Diamond Bank to find out where investors' heads are at from Adegboyega Adebajo, Head of Structured Finance and Advisory at Diamond Bank. Adegboyega, I'm sure you're doing great this morning. Let's talk about market behavior. You say it's not just about profit taking, but also about a reaction to half one results release. But so far, the results we've seen released are great. In fact, except for Wando, which didn't release such a good results. Of course, those were expected. And of course, a major concern around cost. Despite these two major issues, we're still seeing half one results looking good, and yet the market doesn't seem so happy. What do you feel is spurring investors this time around?
Well, I think we need to just look a little bit outside the market and try to explain what the behavior is all about. First, with respect to the results, yes, you're absolutely right. Pretty good results. Shows the resilience of the Nigerian market, that in spite of inflation, in spite of the difficulties, we're seeing some consumer goods stocks, companies showing pretty good results, essentially because they're able to pass on costs to customers. The effects of inflation are passed on, so we've got those revenues achievable. But I guess there's an interesting thing in terms of measuring efficiency. And beyond the top line figures, I would have expected brokers to look at the details of that. It's more important that a company is efficient in how it achieves its profitability. And when you then look at the growth in PBT and PAT with respect to those companies, you can start to understand why brokers may have decided to exit some of those stocks in those companies and perhaps shift their resources into other more likely prospects. Because right now, with results coming out across different sectors, it's a good time to shift from one sector to another, particularly maybe from manufacturing to financial services.
Well, Adegboyega, how much do you think the MPC decision, of course, to raise the CRR to 12% from 8% has impacted investor sentiment? Like I said earlier, Zenith Bank, good results, but we saw investors not responding to that at all yesterday. So how much do you think this has impacted investors?
Well, okay, that's actually another factor which from outside the market can actually influence what happens. Raising the CRR obviously is a matter of tightening liquidity, and for quite a few investors or portfolio managers or holders, sometimes you find a situation where stocks are sold off to be able to access some liquidity for other ventures. It's all about shifting from one type of assets to another sort of assets, and this may have explained some of what we saw. You will realize that even the day before the MPC meeting, we started seeing the decline in the ASI essentially from the selling. And this may have been in terms of the expectations that was what would happen. Clearly, the central bank is pretty much interested in making sure that we do not have inflation arising from a large amount of money in circulation, so that's been tightened. It's also pretty much a way in terms of trying to achieve price stability and exchange rate stability. So these things certainly will have their impact, and where investors or portfolio holders feel that selling out stock will provide some liquidity.
Adegboyega, what do you expect, of course, going forward? Do you see this bearish trend continuing, especially in the FMCG and brewery sectors? We do have news that SAB Miller will start production in Onitsha in next month. What do you expect going forward, especially in the FMCG and brewery sectors?
Okay, you've got two very interesting questions in there, Uche. First of all, I do not expect the bearish trend to continue for too long. I think it's just for a short while. Like I said, those are two sectors, the brewery and the FMCG sectors, which particularly are able to always reflect whatever costs are in the economy, pass them on onto their results through their pricing of their goods to customers. But in terms of SAB Miller starting to operations in Onitsha, well, we're going to see some very interesting competition in the brewery sector. It's typically been Nigerian breweries through the Heineken behaviour and Diageo through Guinness locally here. SAB Miller has been trying to come in for a while, and they are here now. it's going to be quite a struggle for market share, but the brands and brand loyalty is going to have a lot to play in terms of the ability of SAB Miller to penetrate the market.